ARMY, I know you've been missing Jungkook like crazy. I have too. And I know you're all wondering, when is he going to give us music again? Well, after being a detective for weeks, stalking every single post, analyzing every pixel of his photos, and basically becoming the K-pop version of Sherlock Holmes, I found something that gave me chills. Get comfortable, grab your snacks, because what I'm about to tell you might change everything you thought you knew about Jungkook's future plans. Seriously, after you hear all of this, you're going to look at every one of his posts with different eyes. And trust me, you're gonna want to hear this. And before I forget, this is all based on ARMY investigations, not official news. So consider this as our collective delulu that hopefully turns into reality. But honestly, the evidence is pretty convincing. So if you're ready to dive deep into the rabbit hole, let's go. So here's what happened. Yesterday I was scrolling through my timeline while missing Jungkook as usual, and I noticed something weird. There was a consistent pattern in his behavior before enlisting, and when I connected the dots, mind blown. Literally. I even called my friend who's equally obsessed with BTS to confirm whether I was hallucinating or if there was really something here. Turns out, I wasn't alone. ARMY on Twitter, Reddit, even on Korean forums have started noticing the same thing. We all independently came to similar conclusions, and that's when you know something is brewing. Because when thousands of ARMY from different countries with different perspectives suddenly arrive at the same theory, that's not coincidence anymore. So here's the tea. I've compiled everything that fellow detective ARMY and I have found, and I'm going to share it with you. But warning, after you know all of this, you're going to become paranoid analyzing every single thing Jungkook posts in the future. Don't say I didn't warn you. What convinced me this isn't just wishful thinking is the consistency. This isn't just one random thing that could be interpreted various ways. This is multiple pieces of evidence that when put together, create a very compelling narrative. And honestly, knowing Jungkook and how strategic he's always been with career moves, this totally makes sense. The first clue that sparked this whole investigation is something almost all ARMY noticed but dismissed as unimportant. But when you really think about it, this is actually huge. Before the golden release, Jungkook had a certain pattern in his creative process. He always, and I repeat, always gave subtle hints months before official announcements. Remember when he randomly started posting covers on social media before Still With You? Or how he suddenly became more active in the studio before the golden era? Well, guess what happened in the months leading up to his enlistment? Exact same pattern, but more intense. He literally spent more time in the studio than at home, and this wasn't for variety shows or BTS group activities. This was personal project time, and what makes it interesting, people who usually worked with him for the Golden Album posted cryptic stories about exciting projects and can't wait to share around the same timeline. Coincidence? I think not. Especially considering some of them are people who typically work on multi-album deals, not single project arrangements. The second clue came from something literally hiding in plain sight, but we all missed it because we were too focused on the obvious stuff. Do you guys remember when Jungkook did that live stream right before enlistment? When he said I have so much I want to show you guys with that specific tone he uses when he's being mysterious, well, ARMY who rewatched that live multiple times noticed he kept looking at something off camera, and every time he mentioned future plans, his eyes literally lit up differently. Body language experts in the ARMY community analyzed this, and the conclusion was that he's definitely hiding something exciting, not just general future hopes. Plus, the timing of his statement about wanting to explore different sides of his music coincides perfectly with rumors about him reaching out to international collaborators who specialize in genres he hasn't fully explored yet. We're talking about producers who worked with major Western artists and have a track record of creating genre-blending masterpieces. The third one, and this is what personally convinced me, is the digital footprint he left behind. Tech-savvy ARMY noticed there were several music-related domains that got registered around the time he was preparing for enlistment. Now, this could be for future BTS projects, but the naming conventions and some of the associated metadata suggest individual artist planning. Also, there were several copyright applications filed that don't match with any known BTS group projects. And the timing? Perfect for an artist planning long-term solo career development. This isn't speculation, guys, these are public records that anyone can check. The fourth clue relates to his social media behavior that's so subtle it almost went unnoticed. He started following several accounts that seemed random, but when you dig deeper, they're all connected to music production, visual arts, and creative direction for solo artists. The pattern of who he followed and when he followed them tells a story, and what's most interesting, several of these accounts followed him back almost immediately, suggesting prior communication or professional relationships. This typically happens when there's ongoing or planned collaboration. The timing of these mutual follows creates a timeline that perfectly aligns with pre-production planning phases. The fifth clue came from industry insiders who accidentally leaked information without realizing the implications. There were several interviews with producers and songwriters who mentioned working on something special or excited about an upcoming project within a timeframe that matches Jungkook's studio activities. One particular interview that almost flew under the radar mentioned working with an artist who's planning something revolutionary, and when asked about the timeline, they said it's a long-term project, but the foundation is already there. Given the context and other clues, this is very likely referring to our golden maknae. The sixth is a pattern from his personal interests and artistic evolution that's visible through his song choices, covers, and even his fashion. There's been a consistent direction toward more mature, experimental sounds, and visual aesthetics that suggest artistic growth beyond what Golden represented. His selection of covers to post, the genres he gravitates toward, and even his playlists that are occasionally visible on his devices show someone who's actively exploring new musical territories. This isn't casual listening, guys, this is research and inspiration gathering. The seventh clue, and the most emotional one for ARMY, are the promises and hints he gave during fan interactions that most people interpreted as general future talk, but actually contain very specific language that artists typically use when they have concrete plans. Phrases like "I'll show you a different side of me" and "there's so much more I want to share" with the context and timing, suggest someone who has already planned how to deliver on these promises. Combined with everything else, this paints a picture of someone who's been strategically planning their next artistic phase. And now, before we all get too excited and start camping outside the HYB building, let's be realistic about the timeline. Even if all these clues are pointing toward a pre-planned project, the execution definitely won't happen until after his service ends and BTS group obligations are sorted out. But here's why this theory isn't complete. Delulu, Jungkook is known for his long-term planning and dedication to his craft. If he really did spend time before enlistment preparing for future projects, this would be completely in character for him. Plus, industry-wise, maintaining momentum from Golden's success with a strategic follow-up makes perfect business sense. What makes this whole theory even more plausible is the track record of other successful K-pop artists who used their military service period for planning and conceptualizing their post-service projects. It's actually a common strategy for artists at Jungkook's level. So ARMY, what do you think? Are we collectively losing our minds, or is there something real here? I personally think there's enough evidence to at least keep our hopes up. And honestly, whether this all turns out to be true or not, the fact that we can piece together such a detailed theory shows how well we know our golden maknae. Keep being Detective ARMY, keep supporting Jungkook, and most importantly, keep that excitement alive, because whatever he has planned next, it's going to be worth the wait. Don't forget to like if you enjoyed this investigation, subscribe for more conspiracy theories that hopefully become reality, and drop your own findings in the comments. Until next time, ARMY, keep theorizing.